Douglas Murray's life, away from the public eye, is a fascinating mix of exploration, introspection, and careful observation. For someone known for his bold opinions and high-profile media appearances, Murray also finds solace in quietly slipping away from the public sphere. What most people don't know is how much he values his time alone, traveling secretly to places far removed from the bustling cities and political hotspots where he's often seen. One of the reasons Murray enjoys these hidden journeys is the freedom it gives him to escape the pressures of constantly being in the spotlight. His opinions, often met with controversy, require a certain mental resilience. In many ways, these secret travels are a form of recharging his energy. For someone whose job revolves around dissecting societal issues, Murray finds peace in anonymity, and he's remarkably adept at slipping under the radar. You wouldn't catch him announcing his next destination on social media or booking flights through traditional methods. Instead, he's known to use private bookings and rely on connections that allow him to avoid the attention typically associated with someone of his stature. Whether it's booking a room in a small, out-of-the-way guest house or staying in discreetly arranged accommodations, Murray has mastered the art of blending into his surroundings. One of his favorite places to disappear to are quiet mountain ranges or remote islands, where the air feels cleaner and time slows down. His close friends, those few who are aware of his secret escapes, often comment on how rejuvenated he looks after returning from one of these trips. These are not typical vacation spots. They are areas with a mix of raw nature, solitude, and peace. Murray doesn't always travel to glamorous or well-known places. In fact, part of the charm of his secret excursions is finding locations off the beaten path, places where tourists seldom tread, and where his intellectual curiosity can be satisfied without the distractions of modern life. He enjoys the silence, the wide-open spaces, and the opportunity to sit quietly with a notebook or a book, letting his thoughts drift without interruption. There's a certain irony in how someone so vocal about societal issues would also need such long periods of silence. But for Murray, it's more about balance than escape. The public knows one side of him, the speaker, the writer, the debater. But in these private moments, Murray is content with not saying anything at all. It's in the quiet where he finds clarity. Whether sitting on a secluded beach or hiking through a forest, he is often alone with his thoughts. And perhaps it's in these moments that some of his most insightful ideas are born, away from the pressures of needing to defend them in the public sphere. What's intriguing is how little anyone knows about these travels. Murray takes great care to ensure that his trips remain untraceable. He uses aliases for bookings, pays in cash where possible, and avoids any digital trails that could give away his location. He's even been known to use different identification when passing through certain places, allowing him to blend into the crowd without raising suspicion. For someone whose words have reached millions, it's fascinating to think that he's able to disappear almost entirely when he wants to. His choice of destinations can often surprise even those who are closest to him. While many would assume that someone with Murray's background might frequent well-known cities or high-profile resorts, his preferences lean in the opposite direction. He's been known to visit quiet monasteries, ancient ruins, or small, rural villages where internet access is scarce and cell phone reception even more so. It's not uncommon for him to book last-minute flights, pack minimally, and head off without telling anyone, save for a few trusted individuals who know his whereabouts in case of emergencies. These spontaneous trips, however, are far from reckless. Murray is meticulous in his planning, often studying maps and researching his destinations thoroughly before he departs. He knows how to blend in, how to move without drawing attention, and how to experience a place without leaving a trace of his presence behind. In these remote corners of the world, Murray finds time to reflect on the bigger picture. Whether it's sitting on the edge of a cliff, gazing out at the ocean, or walking through a dense forest, he takes in the world around him without the weight of expectation. These moments are private, meant only for him. They are not about work, not about performance, but about existing in the world without the need. Douglas Murray's secretive travels are more than just moments of escape. They are a form of self-discovery, a personal ritual that keeps him connected to the world in ways many of his followers might not fully understand. For someone whose public persona revolves around intellectual debate, critique, and analysis of society, these hidden journeys are where he reconnects with the simplest, rawest aspects of human existence. In these undisclosed travels, Murray is not a man bound by the constraints of politics or media appearances. He's free to be an observer rather than a participant in the world's fast-moving cycles of news and events. His approach to travel is as unique as his views on society. Always thoughtful, always aware of the deeper meanings behind what he experiences. There's no rush, no agenda, other than to be present in the moment. This is his time to absorb, reflect, and exist outside the frame that defines him in the public sphere. Interestingly, Murray's travels don't follow any set patterns. He is as likely to visit a cold, windswept corner of northern Europe as he is to explore the hidden corners of Southeast Asia. His travel choices are dictated not by comfort or convenience, but by a sense of curiosity and a desire to encounter the unknown. He's drawn to places that challenge him mentally and physically, destinations that force him to step outside the intellectual confines of the world he normally inhabits. One might wonder what he does with his time when he's not in front of a camera or a keyboard. His secret travels are an opportunity to immerse himself in local cultures, often blending into small communities and learning from the people he meets. He's always been curious about the way different societies function, and these trips give him the chance to observe without judgment or agenda. In these moments, Murray is not the commentator. He's simply a traveler, an observer, a participant in life. Despite the secrecy of these travels, Murray's personality shines through in subtle ways. He is still the same sharp thinker, the same curious mind, and the same person who thrives on challenging himself, whether through ideas or experiences. These trips are not about luxury or comfort. They are about stepping out of his daily routine and confronting the unknown. In fact, many of his journeys have taken him to places where life is far simpler, where people live closer to the land, and where modern distractions are non-existent. On some of these trips, he's accompanied by a small group of close friends who share his love for exploration. Though even then, they operate under the radar. These friends are just as careful as he is, keeping their travels private, away from the eyes of media or even casual acquaintances. There's an unspoken understanding among them. These journeys are personal, not to be shared or discussed publicly. As secretive as his travels are, there are always whispers and hints that surface from time to time. A local villager might remember a quiet, thoughtful man who stayed in their guest house for a week, or a traveler might recall a conversation they had with someone who looked vaguely familiar but who kept to himself for most of the trip. But these are just fragments, pieces of a larger puzzle that few will ever fully piece together. What drives Murray to seek out these hidden journeys? Perhaps it's the desire for a deeper understanding of the world, a need to step away from the noise of modern life and reconnect with something more fundamental.